Hello everyone and welcome to 24th Lucknow MuleSoft Meetup. And the topic for today's meetup is create custom timer scope using Mule SDK, which is also known as Java-based Mule SDK. So before we start, some safe harbor statements. So both the speaker and the host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not presenting our companies here. This presentation is strictly for learning purpose only. Organizer or presenter do not hold any responsibility that same solution will be working for your business requirement, and this presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Some housekeeping. So as we are recording the session, so you will get the recording within 24 hours in the meetup page. You will get all the links. So I will post it in LinkedIn as well. Although I have a YouTube channel, you will get it over there. If you have any question, just feel free to unmute anytime. Ask me any question. Don't be shy with that. Okay, I would love to take that. So we'll make it more interactive. Okay, maybe in some part you may need to wait until I cover something, and then you can ask some relevant questions on that. And at the end, when the meetup is over, you will get a feedback form. So we'll request you to please fill that up and let us know how the session was and what more topics you want, how you want us to improve, or what the things you don't like for like in the meetup. You can mention everything, and we can work on that to change it. Moving forward, the organizer. So Akib and myself, we are the organizer for Lucknow. So Akib, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek. This is Dr. Javed. So I have total 9 years of experience in IT and relevant 5 years in Mule. I am currently working as a consultant with TCS, and me and Abhishek together, started this group a long back. So we are now celebrating its 25th meetup. And thanks, Abhishek, for this time.
Thanks, Akib, to be a great co-host. So talking about myself, so I'm a MuleSoft ambassador, I'm a meetup speaker, leader for Lucknow and Guwahati. I'm a certified development architect working as an associate solution architect in Epicero. Overall of 8+ years of experience and 6+ in MuleSoft. MuleSoft industry and champion, GTM champion certified. I have some certifications in Solus, Delphi, and JCP. I write blogs, create technical videos, and I own a patent for developing a portable washing machine. That's pretty much about me. So now let's directly move on to our agenda. So we'll be looking for the basics or fundamentals of custom scope. Then I will guide you through how to create a custom timer scope. We'll test it locally. We'll publish to Exchange. That's what we'll do. And before starting, just let you know, we'll have less theory because I'm not a theory fan. Okay, so we'll not waste much time in theories. I love demos, so we'll focus much on the demo part. So we'll quickly go through our PPTs and then we'll start. So starting with the custom scope fundamentals. So there are few things which you need to understand before creating any scope. Okay, so you might have came across different meetups where we create custom policies or custom connectors. So unlike connectors, scope is a little bit different, but the first few steps it follows the steps of the create connectors itself. So scope is basically an operation that receive one or more argument that are simple parameters along with a single chain component and the complete callback. So to create a scope, it is very important to understand like we need to have a chain component and a completion callback. So moving forward, I will show you why and how that helps. So all scopes are declared as non-blocking operations. So what is non-blocking is non-blocking operations always need to be specified through void methods. Okay. Then when it has an argument of type completion callback, it has a return value, and unlike again your connector, your scope doesn't return an error. Okay, in connector you can get some error, it returns an error, but your scope doesn't do that. Your scope wraps up your process, okay, to do different operations. Like we have try scope, okay, we have until successful scope. So what does it do? It wraps a different processor inside it. Okay, so that's what uh, the basic operations of a scope. Scope are not allowed to depend on a receive a particular configuration or connection. So we don't expect the scope to have any kind of configuration or connection inside that. How we can see, like for example, HTTP connector. Okay, we can see there is a particular configurations or creating a connections for that. Okay, the chain component is key in the definition of scope. As I mentioned, like the chain component is very much required. Okay, and again repeating, so all scope must be defined as a void method. So the operations which we are declaring for a scope, it should be a void method. So if you're quite good in Java or have some basics of Java, then you would understand that. Okay, so you don't need to have a very advanced knowledge of Java. Even I don't have very advanced knowledge of Java. Still, I tried different POCs, collecting information from different places and created this one. Okay, so starting with our development. So the first thing what we'll need is this particular command which we need to run in a command prompt. Okay, so this is a Mule extension R type which is already present in the Maven. So when we run this project, we need to provide this basic informations so that a project will be generated. Once that is done, this is you need to import it in Studio, and this is what you're going to get. But we don't need everything what is defined over in this main Java. We just need the configuration and operations in terms of scope. Okay, then the codes what we'll write for creating a scope is for operations, we'll write this particular scope, which I will explain you each line what that does. And a configuration, this configuration is just to like generate that scope and have extension name, like how the name should be available in your palette. Okay, and to define like, okay, we are doing some operations. Then we'll test the scope. For that, we'll install that in our local .m2 repository. Okay, we'll define the dependencies for that. So once we do that, you will see this available in your palette. Okay, and you can have default parameters which I've shown a message one. So if you are not passing anything by default, it will take flow.name. Okay, and I will show you how we do that. Then I just created a small flow, and this is what we are going to show, like for success scenario, how it is going to show us the timing, and if it is an error, then how it is going to print the message for us. Okay, publish to exchange, again quite easy. We need to have two tags, the distribution tag and the repository tag in the POM file of our scope, the project which we have imported in that. Okay, then we need to have a setting file. So you can have two different way of your settings file, one with the username and password, another with the client ID or secret. Okay, once you deploy to exchange or publish to exchange, this is how you can see that. Okay, this is the exchange part, and this is the studio where you can see the extension, and the command you need to use in your command prompt will be this. Okay, so let's move to the demo. Before that, anyone have any question till now? Are you quite aware of like what we are going to do? Anyone? Any question? Okay, so I will take that as a no. One more thing for this, like I have shown, like we need to have an org ID. Okay, and also like when you are describing your this basic information, you need to have your org group ID. So how you can get that? Like you can get that in your platform. Okay, whatever account you have, either you can get it from the URL from this page, or you can go to your access management. In that, you can go to your org and you can get the org ID from here. Okay, so now let us move to the demo part. Okay, so I have created a folder in which I will be creating the project, the initial one, the initial stage. So this is my command. Okay, I will go over here. I will open this in CMD and I will generate it. Make sure you have a Maven. Okay, you have Maven in your system, and you have set the Maven up. Okay, so that is required. So now it is asking for me some information. So enter the name of the extension. So this is the name of the extension what I'm going to use. Okay, I'll provide it. Then the group ID. For me, the group ID is this. Then artifact ID, it can be same name as the extension. Okay. Then the version, so I'm dealing with the first version, that is 1.0.0, and this is a default package name which we should use. So I'll be using this. Okay. So once I do that, it will generate the project over here. See, the project is created. So now what I will do, I will go back to my studio and I will simply import it the normal way how we do it on Mule application. So this, finish. Okay. So now this is the structure what it is going to show me. Okay. I have my Java files over here, which is basically used for when you are creating a connector. But in our case, we need only the configuration and operation. So we'll get rid of this thing. Also, we can get rid of this test one. We don't need it. So I will just delete the unwanted file, which I don't want. Okay. So the thing I have is a operation file and a configuration file. So let's change our code for the operation. So this is my code. Okay. So what we are doing over here, I have imported some predefined uh, parameters which are required. So I was talking about the chain operation, right? So this is very much important, and the completion callback. This too is very much important whenever you are creating any scope, because this is where the scope is going to work. This is how the scope is going to work. Okay, and the method where the operations are defined for your scope should be void. Okay, it should be always void. There should not be any return type. Then parameters, we can have a default parameter. So I have parameterized a message variable, and I have given a default field. So what does it mean is, now suppose when the scope will be generated, okay, so you will be able to see that. So now if you want to give a message to that, you can create your own message to that. Else you, by default, it will be flow.name. So flow.name means it will give the name of the flow in which you are using the scope. Okay, and I will show that. Then this is a declaration for the logger, because I need to log the message in my console. So I've kept it info type. This is again a variable to define the time, the current time when the execution start for that process. Okay, this particular block signifies the success result, where I'm just subtracting the start time with the current time, the time when it will be elapsed, the time when the processor will be out of the scope, and then putting a message in the console, which I have shown over here in this one. Okay, so this is to print that message. I'm using the variable message over here, so that whatever input I'm giving to this message parameter or the message variable, that will be printed over here. In case of error, again it is a callback. Okay, as I said, like it doesn't generate any error. Okay, unlike your connector, it won't generate any error, but it will give you a message if it is an error, so that it will specify, okay, your flow have got some error, and this is what time it took to propagate that error, okay, or to came out of that process. Got it? So this is the operation part for the timer scope. Then we have the small configuration. Okay, this is a small code, nothing much in that. So just I'm declaring, okay, I have declared an operation where the extension name should be timer scope. Okay, that's the only thing which we need to do. Okay. So this is how my form looks, the group ID which I have given, the artifact ID, the name as we have defined as an extension name. So it has taken the extension by default. Okay, but you can change it as you want. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll try to put this in our local, in our empty repository, and we'll try to test it out. Okay, so for that, let me open my repository. So this is my folder. Let me delete this. Okay. So this is my folder where it should create the time scope. Okay. So for that, as this is created, so I will open this. Okay, I will open the workspace and I will open this in my command prompt. Okay, and we'll have the ambient command, which is this one, install, which means I want to install it in my local, we can say. Okay, before that, let me do one thing just to make it more specific so that we don't have an issue. I will just rename my settings so that it doesn't work. Okay, fine. So again, if you want to check if you have Maven in your system or not, so you can use Maven version. So this will give you like what Maven you have, what is the JDK you have, okay, and what is the location for your Maven. Fine. So now we'll run this command. Before that, let me show you a demo to show you like, okay, there is no file for that. So I will create a demo application. And if I search for timer, I don't get anything. Fine. Okay. So I will just hit the command. Okay, so this is successful. Let's move to our .env repository and we got it. 5th August, custom time scope. Okay, so this is what we have. Now we need to have this in our application. So for this, we can have a dependency for our timer scope, which is this one. So I'll go to my form and I will simply add it over here. So what we need to give is the group ID, the artifact ID, the version, and this is a predefined thing. It's a Mule plugin, so the classifier will be a Mule plugin. Okay, I'll save it up. And now you can see the timer scope is over here. Okay, so we got the timer scope. So now let us create one flow. Okay. So I will have a HTTP listener. I will name it as timer scope. Okay, I will have a timer scope over here. A logger. Say printing start. And one and our HTTP requester, which is calling my another API. So I will calling my another API, which is this one, okay, which holds this configuration 8082 API, and in that we have one test, get test, so we'll use that. So localhost 8082 API test, and I need to have a parameter over here. Test. Okay, so initially when it will execute, it may give different like a more time than execution, and it happens always whenever you run your application. It's not the timer scope, but normally also whenever you execute your application, the first time it processes a lot of things, so it takes little time, but the second time it may defer the time. Okay, so let us run this. and see how this works. Meanwhile, it is running. I will show you the configuration. So the message, this is the default one, flow.name. Okay, I can change this as per my requirement. And we have other things, the standard one, like the advanced, we can have a target variable. So this is a scope. So I want that when my payload is coming out of the scope, it should be into a variable and not a payload. So we can have that. Okay. Then other standard operations we have over here. Fine. So it is deployed, but I did a mistake. Let me go to demo. Let me choose both. Yeah. No, no. So this is what I'm doing is I want to enable both the application together. I want to run both together. So just going to my debug configuration, run configuration, choosing the configuration and applying both. If I do both, it will run both. Now you can see only one deployed, but now if I run it, you will see two applications has been deployed. So meanwhile, any question to anyone? Anyone have any question? Am I going fast, slow, or even nothing is understood? Anything? Anyone please speak. Cube,
Yeah, I am observing the question. So we have one question now.
we have one question. What is the question? Can we pass a configuration as parameter to scope like we can do with operation? I didn't got Shank what you're saying. Like you want to have a configuration like how we have in HTTP?
Yes, something like that. So that, for example, maybe I want
Hmm?
to send some metrics to outside.
Okay. Hmm.
Like, for example, in this case, the log time. So time operation is taking.
Correct.
So something like, so we can send a configuration, create a custom configuration and send it, or something
Uh,
like that.
See, yeah, ideally you can do that. Okay, so what I did is my requirement was just to create this, but I tried that also to put the logger instance, right? So in logger, if you'll see, we have got this different instance, the level and category, right? So
Yeah.
I tried that also. Okay, somewhat I was successful doing that, but I don't have much major knowledge of Java, so I'm still trying that. But yes, you can do that. Okay, you can have defined that in your operations. Okay, once you do that, you can have things over here. Okay, apart from that, you can have a different tab also. Okay, that is also possible where you can have a different tab for the configurations and you can do. So that would be pretty much possible, but you need to have different Java classes over here and defining that up, and then defining everything on your configurations.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So let me run this. Post run. So let me run it. Script started has error. Mistake. Uh, my, this always happens when we do that. It's one of the other thing we mess it up. Okay, let me start it again. Now let me try that. Okay, so it executed, and you can see the timer over here. So I kept it as milliseconds, so it is showing in millisecond. Let me try one more time. This time it may take a little less time. Okay, so just 9 milliseconds. Okay, as I said, for the first time it takes little time. Okay, but this is, if you try it normally also, then you can find this, like once you execute for the first time it will take some time, but for the next execution it will take less time. Okay, this is for the success one. Now suppose if I want to see if there is any error. Okay, so I'll just disable this so that I don't want to run, or I don't want to have a connection with my requester. I will run this. Okay, so now if I execute this, so there's an error, and this is my error message. It's my timer scope error message completed with error. Okay, run it again. Okay, so it won't basically throw an error. The scope will never do that. It will just give you the message what we want, like okay, this is an error, so this is how much time it took. Okay, and the message itself specify, okay, there was an error. Okay, and this is what we have written over here. So if it is an error, I should specify, okay, completed with error in this much milliseconds. Fine. Now, all good with this? Any question till now? You want me to try something else with this?
There is one question in the chat.
XML does not support custom scope or any advanced feature or Java SDK like source or see. I have not tried in XML SDK or version, so I cannot say whether it is possible or not. I tried with Java, and that's the first thing which I tried. And after I tried, I found some articles, not very much because we don't have much thing for scope. Okay, how we create or do anything, but I found an article from MuleSoft to define the things, like what all things are required, and I found it in Mule SDK only. I have not seen it in XML, so I I can say about XML thing. Features, the normal features what we have in Java. It's nothing like the very advanced thing. Just the thing is, we know Java, so we can try different things. We can put our mind in that, and we can innovate that. That's what only I would say. Any other question? Maybe I can show you the target variable is working or not. Okay, so I will name it as timer order start time. Okay, Okay, so the payload is empty, but we have the variable. Fine. So we created the scope. We tested it locally. Now it's the time to publish it. Okay. So for publish, as I said, you need to have few changes to be done in your custom project. Okay, that is one thing. Another thing is a setting file, so you can have it with your username and
Abhishek,
password or custom scope. Yes.
Abhishek, this is Vikas.
Yeah, because
Unfortunately, in the first 15 to 20 minutes, I have missed it due to network issue. Okay.
okay.
If you could just give me a brief,
Hmm.
just for 1 or 2 minutes about the timer scope, how you added all those things, it would be great. I don't know
Uh,
if I'm disturbing.
sure, I can do that, but if you don't mind, can I take it that last?
Definitely.
Okay. And that's fine. If you missed, we will also share the recording, but I will definitely take that at the last. Okay.
Sure.
Just because I'm in some last part, let me
Okay.
do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So before that, let me delete this. Okay. And let me clean the project. So I'll open the form for this. Okay, so I said like we need to add the distribution management and the repository. Here it is V3, but I'm going to take V2. You can take V3 as well. Okay, and we need to have setting file. So what you need in your setting file is either it can be a username password specific or a client ID client secret or connected app one. I'm using the client ID client secret. Okay, and I'll show you. So for that, I'll just fix my settings because it should be only settings.xml. Okay, now I need to have the tags, so let me put the tag in my project, which is over here. I will just remove this because I do know that my source format, save it. So I have my distribution tag. So what it is to put publish to exchange. So this is the URL which I'm using for V2, my org ID. Okay, and a repository again with V2, which is this one. Okay, this is one thing we have done. So I will open this in command prompt again. CMD. Okay, now let us first see what settings file we are using. Okay, sometimes it happens like we have multiple settings files at different places. In Studio, we are defining something else. Okay, we are not sure what we want or what we have. Okay, so what we can do is we can have this particular tag which help us to identify which command, which settings file we are using, which is ambient help effective settings. Maybe I can also provide that in the chat. Okay, so this will specify okay what setting file I'm using, and this will not show your password or anything. Okay, that will be masked. It will just show the relevant details of your settings file. Okay, so this is my setting. This is what client credentials I'm using. Okay, the client app, and okay, this looks good to me. Fine. Also, for connected app, as I said, like the username and password thing is easy. Okay, just you are giving your username and password, but how to give the connected app credentials? So what you need to do is to create a connected app. Just go to your Anypoint platform. Okay, in that go to access management. Here you will get an option for connected app. Okay, so just create an app. Okay, and give whatever rights you want to give that. Okay, like here I've given full, mostly I've given everything. Okay, I've not specified anything. So there how you can do, and this is your client, your ID and secret for the connected app. Okay, that's how you create the connected app and how you use that. Now I'll just publish this to exchange, and now we can see that at present we don't have anything in the exchange. okay, for connected for this timer scope. So this is the command which I'm going to use. Ambient clean deploy. I'll move to my command prompt and I will give this command. Okay, this is successful. Let's move toward our platform and check. So see, the custom timer scope extension is over here. 1 minute I go, and now if I go to my studio, I'll build a new project. I'll go to Exchange, and if I search for time, this is what I do. So now I can add this. Okay, I can add this and I can use this. Fine. So make sure your studio is connected with your platform. Again, there are multiple ways to do that. The most easy one is either you create an application, a project, go to search in Exchange and add account. Okay, that is one way. Other way is you go to Windows Preference and Anypoint Studio Authentication. Here, what you can do. Okay, so this is all about the time scope. Now, if anyone have any question, they can ask. Meanwhile, I will give you some reference of this. I have written a blog, but that is yet to publish. Once that is done, I will share that. Okay. Yeah. So if anyone have any question, they can bring